You don't have to crop it.
Okay,
Okay.
we're
Oh my
starting.
God.
Ready? Hello, and welcome to That 1400 Show, where I, your host, will talk to some of the most prominent figures of this era. We live in a fervent period of European cultural, artistic, political, and economic rebirth following the Middle Ages. The Renaissance promotes the rediscovery of literature and art. Some of the greatest thinkers, authors, statesmen, scientists, humanists, and artists in human history have thrived in this era thus far. Today, we will be talking to just three of these prominent figures and highlighting each guest's important beliefs, achievements, and cultural influences. First, we will bring in a very talented artist. Please welcome Raphael. Welcome, Raphael. Why don't you tell us a little about your early life?
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me. My real name is Raffaello Sanzio, and I was born in Urbino, Italy on April 6, 1483. My father was my teacher and mentor, and when he passed away when I was 11, I became motivated to be one of the greats. I managed my father's workshops and helped paint neighboring churches.
Very fascinating. When did your painting seem to take off?
In my mid-20s, I created a series of paintings that were very similar to Leonardo da Vinci's. These were extremely popular and helped my name spread throughout all of Italy. I ended up painting in many important places for important people, including painting in the Vatican multiple times. In the next 10 years, I created some masterpieces like Madonna of the Chair and Sistine Madonna.
Very interesting. We've heard that you also did architecture. Why don't you tell us a little about that?
In 1514, I hired a crew to finish up my paintings while I started working on other projects. I started to design palaces. I also designed Rome's Santa Maria del Popolo chapel and an area within St. Peter's new basilica.
Fascinating. What is your favorite piece of artwork?
My favorite painting is the School of Athens. I made this painting in 1509 but didn't finish it until 1511. This is my most popular painting, as it is often called the perfect embodiment of the classical spirit of the High Renaissance.
Thank you, Raphael. Next, we will be talking to a very significant humanist of this era. Please welcome Petrarch. Petrarch, that is an interesting name.
Yeah. My full name is actually Francesco Petrarca, but most people end up just calling me Petrarch.
Very interesting. Tell me more about yourself.
Well, I was born on July 20th, 1304 in Arezzo, Tuscany, Italy. Shortly after I was born, my family and I actually moved to Avignon, France. And when I was in France, I decided to study law since that's what my father wanted. But my passion was always for literature.
What types of literature?
I became obsessed with ancient Greek and Roman literature, but my father wanted me to focus in law. After my father died in 1326, I decided that it was important for me to follow my own passions. So I stopped studying law and I became a cleric, which is a religious leader, which supported my interests in ancient literature.
Do you have any other passions?
My main other passion was writing. My first pieces of writing were poems that I wrote after my mother had passed away. I tried all sorts of writing, such as sonnets and letters, but I mainly focused on poetry. I never thought my writing was anything special, but I was crowned Rome's poet laureate in 1341. And in case you didn't know, a poet laureate is a poet who is officially appointed by a government, and they're typically expected to write poems for special occasions.
Wow, that must have been a real honor. Now, even though you said you were not fond of your own writing, what was your favorite piece of work?
That's that's a really good question. I would have to say Africa. It is an epic poem about the Second Punic War. Otherwise, I would say that my poems about Laura are outstanding as well. Laura was the most beautiful girl I have ever seen, and I had fallen in love with her after seeing her in Avignon on April 6th, 1327. And unfortunately, my dedication to the religious way of life made it impossible for me to marry her or any other girl.
Heartbreaking yet inspiring. What would you consider your greatest achievement?
I would think my greatest achievement is my career as a whole. Over my lifetime, I wrote over 600 different poems and sonnets, and the language that I used in those poems and sonnets helped to create the modern Italian language.
Thank you, Petrarch. The last guest today will be a very prominent scholar. Everyone, please welcome Galileo Galilei. Thank you for taking the time to join us, Galileo. Let's jump right into some questions. Let's start by getting to know a little more about your personal life. How old are you? What is your family like? And where do you live?
My name is Galileo Galilei, and I was born in Pisa, Italy, where I am one of 6 children. In 1583, I enrolled at the University of Pisa to study medicine, but I was quickly intrigued by other studies such as mathematics and physics. I left university before finishing my degree, and I sought teaching. I got a job teaching at the University of Padua, where I taught mathematics and astronomy. I bore 3 children with a woman named Marina Gamba, but I never married.
What were your occupations?
I'm a teacher and philosopher at the University of Padua. I am very intrigued about finding new ideas and discoveries. It fascinates me. I enjoy thinking and pondering. I love inventing new things that will be useful for future generations.
Let's learn a little bit more about your accomplishments. What are some of your discoveries and inventions?
I have been credited to many theories and inventions throughout my lifetime. I invented the telescope to learn more about our solar system. In 1604, I constructed a hydrostatic balance to measure small objects. I also made some bold theories about motion and falling objects. I discovered the universal law of acceleration. I also devised the simple thermometer. I have other inventions and theories, but these were my main contributions.
Truly some amazing contributions you have made to this world. Did you ever win any awards for these accomplishments?
No, unfortunately, I did not win any awards for my accomplishments in this world. I spent a lot of time being persecuted by the church for my curiosity and discoveries and theories.
Tell me more about the church's prosecution and disrespect towards you.
When I invented the telescope, I began to start theories that the planets revolve around the sun and not the earth. This theory went against the church's teachings, and they didn't like it. I'm a devoted Catholic, so I didn't want to commit a sin or be punished by the church. They ordered me not to speak, teach, or expand upon my new theory. I was threatened with torture. I was convicted of heresy and ordered to house arrest. I am extremely disappointed that I couldn't expand upon my theory and prove to everyone why I was correct.
You are very well known for your contributions in the solar system. What are some of your most famous contributions to astronomy?
I was the first person to ever study the solar system with a telescope. I also discovered the 4 moons of Jupiter, as well as Venus having moon-like phases. I discovered the rings of Saturn and that the Milky Way is made of stars. I also expanded upon theories of gravity. I conducted many experiments to prove these theories, and I am very proud of them.
You have been known to be a very impressive author. What are some of your books and what are they about?
I wrote and published many books in my lifetime. Most of them are about mathematics, physics, inventions, and astronomy. One of my most famous books is called The Starry Messenger, and that describes my invention of the telescope and some of my observations I made about the solar system with that invention.
To wrap this segment up, how do you think you contributed to the Reformation?
I think that I expanded our knowledge on astronomy and mathematics that the church did not want to hear. The truth through science eventually caught up with the Catholic Church, and they had to accept that what I was saying and teaching was correct. I think I paved the way for future scientists and astronomers.
Thank you so much for your time and teachings, Mr. Galileo. Your contributions to learning are truly astounding.
Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed this time talking about my life.
That concludes our segment today. Today I have talked to 3 very important figures of this fine era. Artist Raphael, humanist Petrarch, and scientist Galileo have all shaped this era, and their beliefs, achievements, and cultural influences will continue to be shared for many generations to come. See you next time on That 1400 Show.